Why don't I just tell you briefly why mapping is so important? I work for a mapping company. I did not do well in geography in high school. I never kind of, in high school, just like with, certain subjects you never understand why certain things are important. But since I've been with Scribble Maps, I've come to realize how important maps are, not only in life history, but in society as well. Whether you recognize it or not, you probably come across about 5 maps a day. And if you live in a city like Toronto, like I do, and you take transit, you have more than that. So maps are used for everything from, the weather reports to the war and conflict in Ukraine right now, to transit, to even if you're playing a video game, you'll see a map there, and a movie. So, take note next week how many times you come across maps, and then think about where those maps are created and who's creating those maps. And possibly that could be you creating those maps as well. For history and culture, to pull a quote from a great book on Canadian history by Adam Schultz: humans have broadened their understanding of the world around them through maps. And every map tells a story, and every map has a purpose, inviting us to go somewhere we've never been. It is an account of what we know, but also traces of what we long for. And like a story, a map is never completely objective. It records special interest and agendas. It leaves important things unsaid, even as it lays things out clearly. We know our history by our maps. And if we know our history, then we know where we've been, and we have a better idea of where we are going and how we need to get there. So going back to that story analogy, the data that we're going to be using today, and with helps of services that Courtney provides, 211, is the script, you can say, of this story. And my software, Scribble Maps, or mapping, that brings that script to life and creates a clear, more broader picture of what we're looking at. And once we have a clearer picture of our data, it will be easier to identify points of need. And that kind of launches into what the challenge is for you today. So 211, it's a portal where public agencies can log information. And we're going to take that information from 211 and other data services, or you're going to be doing this, and we are going to try to find people, and especially rural Ontario, who have unmet needs, and especially focusing in on terms of food security. We're going to then take that open data that you gather, and you're going to put it into Scribble Maps, which you can easily import. And then we are going to try to find patterns and possibly fill the gaps between these support areas and the unmet needs in rural Ontario. So there's so much that you can do with this data. There's so much you can do with the mapping software. So it is up to you in the hackathon to get creative with this data, get creative with my mapping software, the Scribble Map tools that we have, and then try to find some patterns, try to find some gaps between these service areas that we have and the unmet needs here in Ontario. And again, using mapping for a greater good. And then we can open this up to a Q&A.
So Scribble Maps, we have a license now, Sustainable Coburg, and we're going to share. How many do we have? 3, Mike?
We have 3, yep.
3, and we're going to share one with Courtney. So Courtney, I'm going to put you on the spot and describe from the workshop and from the conversations that we've had in the last week, what's your need, and how do you see this data analysis and these tools that you've heard described here? Where would you like to see this go?
Yeah, I think a simple answer is some type of food asset map like you have shown from Sustainable Coburg. But in more detail, we are looking at enhancing community food security and reducing household food insecurity in Simcoe County. So we're looking to connect people with food and food to people. And where we see this map, being effective at 3 layers. So at that individual level, so people directly connecting with food. The next level would be community organizations. So oftentimes not-for-profit, community and social service organizations. So how they can use it in the programs that they're building. And then the next level would be at the municipal level and the planning level, and understanding what exists in the community and how to build on the existing assets or resources. And then from there, there's so many other pieces. So using the 2-on-1 data is very important, and it's what we use now. And the challenge is, I would say at every second meeting, it's but what else is out there, what exists already. And so I see it as like a conversation tool as well, an easy resource. Like there's so much functionality, and it's something that we've been talking about for a while. And then so connecting with Mike and yourself, and seeing how we can move forward with Scribble Maps, I think is going to just change the conversation in Simcoe County around how we're connecting with food. And yeah, I think the possibilities are endless when we think of those 3 different layers, and who that target audience is when we're looking at the different functionality will be really important.
Well, that's great. And I like the statement, connecting people to food and food to people. And you could apply that same motto to connecting people to energy and energy to people.
Yep.
With these smart grids.